Moin moin and welcome back to episode 3 of the Dunian. We proceed with building the Hermes, and this time I try to fit as much modules as somehow possible without running or rushing through it into one episode. So we will build quite a lot of parts onto the Hermes, and here you see incoming the life support section we built and launched in the last video. I skipped out a little bit of stuff to make it a little bit faster because I don't think it serves the content or the idea of giving you guys an overview how I built the Hermes in any way if I launch 20 times the same default rocket with different payloads, because, well, it's a payload within a fairing and it's the same rocket, so same shit happening again and again. So we just start here where I do the docking maneuver. Why I showing the docking maneuver of especially this part in this excessive long time is well, it wasn't that easy. It took me quite a lot of time, because I decided on the Hermes, you might have recognized in the last episode, to end the initial part with a free time docking port arrangement thingy because of reasons. So the idea behind it is to get the last third of the ship a little bit more stable for turns and to avoid vibrations going through the whole ship if I fire up the engines for a longer time. So the whole idea behind it is stabilization of the construct in the end, but it is not as easy to dock 6 docking ports at the same time to each other as I might have thought in the beginning. So if you would ask me today again, I would say like, oh, maybe you do struts or something like that, but well, yeah, it works with 3 docking ports, but you will see it's quite a struggle to do so. So what you can see here is like the typical docking maneuver I do, and what you might have recognized by now, I'm not the typical user of the RCS, I don't know, RCS control mode or however it is named. So you can switch over on the bottom left side from the rocket mode you have into like docking mode. I think it's docking mode or something like that, where your controls are somewhere else to actually use your RCS thrusters to best extent or something like that. Well, I actually never change. I just stay in the normal control mode because you still have the usual stuff on WSD, ASD and Q and E. And the only thing you need to know is that forward thrust from the RCS is done with H and backward thrust is done with N in the default keyboard layout of Kerbal Space Program. And that's it. Then you can go and dock shit. And as you see here, as we say shit, yeah, I docked shit, and I docked shitty actually, because I just messed up the rotation. And this is what cost me like, I don't know, half an hour, 45 minutes, something like that. So I just heavily cutted it down to a few minutes to show you the major problems. So one of the problems you saw right in the last few seconds is like, I wanted to get away from the docking port to orient myself again, and I just got pulled in again because those 3 big docking ports, the senior ones, having that much strong pull on this little part. This little part is like 15 tons or something like that, but it's still pulling in the part like nothing else, and you don't even stand a chance to get this thing away. So what I start here is I actually even get the Hermes into spinning movement, which is not a good thing actually. You want to bitterly avoid this or eagerly avoid this when you do dockings. So after a few attempts I pretty much backed up again and prepared myself for a new run, and well, as you might have guessed already, yes, it will work out. But I can just recommend you, if you are not very good in your docking game, And if you don't feel like, oh yeah, I dock a normal docking port while half asleep and having one hand for my drink and the other hand I'm using for my cigar, and I actually do it with my feet or something like that because I don't even care about docking, well, then you can do docking with 3 docking ports, because it's, well, the next step. If you still feel like you have problems with normal docking ports, you should not even try, because, well, you will get frustrated. The whole rotation orientation thingy is not as straightforward as I had expected it. If I could make a recommendation after doing all this stuff, you should have, or I should have, controlled this thing from the single docking port and made like a backward approach, because when you choose one of the 3 docking ports, you are always off center with the whole controls, while the single docking port is in the center of the rocket, and so you can spin and change the orientation much better and easier than it is with the usual part. So, well, yes, this is the final approach, and we will now proceed with really docking this stuff up. As you see, I got a little bit nervous and just fired my thrusters like no good, and we are docked. So even both docking ports I control are really docked, so I don't control the third one, we all hope it's really docked, and just switch off the antennas and stuff, and then we have a little look onto what we docked now. So you see, well, the ship is getting bigger. Little time jump, I didn't show the build time this time, so what you see here is, like, I call it the xenon tank section. So if you look at images from the Martian, where the Hermes is viewable in full, you see those bubble tanks, or however you want to name it. I just assumed these are for xenon for my thrusters, so I can put xenon in there. So as you see, I already took like 21,000 units of xenon gas with me, and another funny thing I'm using here is, or using with this especially, is the docking port helper from the MRS module. So this the part with those green, reddish and yellowish lights, which can also make normal light, like a lamp or normal lights do, which is a really great assistance when docking on the dark side, as you can see here, because this time I need to dock the new part from, like, the dark side. It's actually on the other side of the sunshine shining. I could have spun the Hermes around, but that way it's quite easier, and I learned that these little thingies from MRS are real game changers when talking about docking in the dark, because you have your orientation. And what I also added, you might have already recognized, is a laboratory, because, well, we are in space and we are from the NASA. Yes, NASA never goes to space without doing science, so we need a fucking science lab to do science, because of reasons, because, well, science and stuff. Yeah, we don't go to Duna without a proper science module. And this is also built into this module. So I had a little bit of, let's say, creative freedom regarding which module is placed where, because I did not found anything like a real blueprint or description, neither from the movie or from the books, regarding the Hermes and how it is actually built. I just assumed that, well, the Xeon drives are in the end, and it makes sense to have the reactors there, and on the pictures you see a lot of heat exchangers on the end, so maybe there are the reactors, and the other stuff I just, well, built what I found fitting and what I saw in the movies or read in the book. And if you might bothering me that there is a retrograde field stuck in space, yes, I recognized it, but, well, I won't do all this shit again just because of this retrograde shield. So yes, it will be gone after the next cut, hopefully. So, docking game. So it took me 2 approaches this time, so, well, took its time to get this stuff done and attached. But when we have this attached, it's pretty much half time. So this is the first half of number of modules. I think I built the Hermes out. So this is like half the ship we are using later as the Hermes. So, well, it's in hopefully good shape, and as I sit in orbit and look at those really wonderful ships, I find it looking quite interesting because it's another design than the usual spaceships are. I decide to do something like a little test flight and decide to do it in the light to show you guys actually what's happening. So what I want to test with this little test flight are pretty much three things all over. So the first thing I want to test is, can this thing spin? So what I do here is like I enable the autopilot or the SAS system and set it to prograde. So the ship orients itself to prograde orbit to later do the other tests. This was to see if we really need RCS for all the turn maneuvers or if we only need RCS for the fast turn maneuvers. Because, well, I need to take this into consideration regarding how much monopropellant I take with me. But actually the first half of the ship, or the last half it will be later, spins quite good. And then I fire up the engines to see if they actually bring me forward. Well, and then I fire up the reactor because I need the electric charge to let the ion drives run that long, to actually also do a heat test, because I built a lot of heat radiators on there, but I don't know yet if they are cooling the ship sufficiently that I can reach long burn times. So I start with short burn times to actually get the experience regarding this, because I already slightly calculated how long it will take me in terms of bringing up enough delta V to leave Kerbal orbit, so to transfer myself into a Kerbal orbit. We don't talk about flying to Duna, we only talk about getting into an orbit around Kerbal, so the sun actually. I'm not sure if I'm spelling Kerbal properly, so the one with the O is meant. So yeah, and for this we need to make sure that we can have long burn times, because this will be around 2 hours of burn time to actually leave Kerbal. So, well, it wouldn't be good if the ship runs hot within a few minutes, because I later on need to burn it for several hours. I think the transfer to Duna will be something around 6 hours of burn time or something like that. Before you now stop looking this serious, no, you don't need to look 2 to 6 hours of burn time. I will actually record parts of it and like time squeeze, time accelerated quite a lot via editing afterwards, so you see what's happening, but you see it in a much faster way. Because what I don't want that you guys think I, well, built a Hermes and hyper edit it over to Duna. No, I will do the actual flight and you will see it, but you will see it in a very fast way and not in the, oh yeah, look, a funny thing, I recorded 6 hours way. Okay, so, well, heat went well so far. So there's another Xeon gas container I put onto the big reactor when I built this one in the beginning, so to have a starting point, and the tank is even bigger than the other ones. So, well, it looks good. So the radiators cool down the ship pretty fast, and heat is not crawling that far. So it was only a few minutes, but it's, well, good enough for first test, good enough for my personal taste. And further tests, well, will be done at latest when we leave the Kerbal orbit, because there will be the first real long time burn, and if we survive this burn in terms of heat, we will survive the other burns also. So on we go with the Solarmodule. So regarding the build plans I have from the movie, so this is what I orient on. The next module I would need is solar panels, not because of I need the actual power. No, because of, well, it's on the ship, and in the movie they had solar panels. I actually don't know why, because they have those reactors, but well, I could explain at least, or explain to myself at least, that this is some kind of NASA have redundant systems thingy, and we then also don't need to have the reactor running while we don't fire the engines. So the normal electrical consumption of the ship, like for life support and for all the converters and the light and SAS and all this stuff, should be gainable over those solar panels. What I also add is a water tank. This is the like golden one up there, to get a lot of water with me, because water is needed for, well, biological experiments. So, as you might recognize, the guy being lost on Duna or on the Mars, Mr. Watney, was the, how is it called in English? Biology? No, botanist, botanic? I don't know. I hope it's botanic. Otherwise, well, tell me what it really is. So the guy doing the botanic stuff, and well, for plants you need water, and the Pioneer module should emulate something I saw in the movie. When they fly back, another guy is doing like botanic experiments in the Hermes. So I just assume that the Pioneer module is our like little botanic area where Mark Watney is having fun on the long way to Duna to get lost. Well, so then I place obviously solar modules on there because of, well, it's the solar module, and I use the biggest one I can get. I later came to the idea, well, there would have been near future electrics with the big ISS ones, but to be honest, look the first episode. It's already lagging that badly with the big Hermes. We don't need. So when you see me my mouse losing focus, it's always like I just tap over to have a look onto the picture from the movie, how the Hermes is actually looking and what I need to place where. And this is the main reason for these thermal control systems. So these radiators are for, well, optical reasons. They have a nice side effect. So I have another point. If somehow heat begins to crawl to the front of the ship, I have another point where I can stop the heat in this solar module section before it heads over to the beginning of the ship and builds up there. But the main reason for building this stuff is pure cosmetic reasons. So just because, well, the Hermes is looking that way in the movie, and this is why we built these radiators there, or thermal control systems, which is pretty much radiators, right? So, well, then follows the usual stuff like, oh yeah, hello there, please do a fairing around it, and then we go back to orbit and bring this thing into being a part of the Hermes. So far, we have finished our 20 minutes and like more or less 3 modules brought to the Hermes, and we'll proceed with this, and I'm pretty sure we are making fast progress on this, and well, I guess we can have the Hermes finished in the next 2 episodes. We will see. I will do my best. I hope you enjoyed this episode. So, hope to see you at the next episode. My name is Robert. Bye bye.